Talk about young shakes. Chicago 2 represent. Just change. And this for my city.
Hey, I do it for my city. Dog, I don't plan on going down. If he think I'm going down, then he gon' first round. For my city. Dog, I ain't never.
Hello, this is Lacy L. Rice Jr. of Rice Fame Group, welcoming you to Chat with HBCU Champions Season 2, Episode 11, featuring head coach Larry Scott from Howard University, whose team won the 2022 MEAC Championship. Actually, they shared that championship this year with North Carolina Central University. Congratulations, Coach, and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Lacy. Appreciate you having me, and appreciate the congratulations. We've been hard at work on pursuing the next one, moving on into 23 and making it where there's no more shared concepts to a championship. So we're working towards winning that thing outright.
Okay, all right. Well, Coach, please tell us a bit about yourself, including about your coaching experience.
Oh man, okay. I'm originally born in Sebring, Florida. Small town right in the middle of the state, central Florida, a little bit south of Orlando. Spent most of my time in Tampa, Florida, though, where I went to school and was one of the first signees at the University of South Florida and started that program there in 1996. From there, once I got out of finished playing my college football, jumped into coaching high school football and working for as a child abuse investigator and got the itch to coach. My coach used to always tell me, hey, Coach Scott, you're going to be a heck of Larry, you're going to be a heck of a football coach. And I was like, yeah, all the hours you guys keep and work and how hard it is, probably not going to be the route for me. I'm going to get out and find ways to make some really good money and be at home and all those type of things a little bit more. And lo and behold, he finds out I'm coaching high school football and comes and grabs me, re-recruits me, and brings me back into the fold of college football. And it's been college football ever since. Spent 10 years at the University of South Florida. Went on to the University of Miami, where I was a co-offensive coordinator and later became the interim head coach there to finish up the season and go to a bowl game and all those type of things. From there, I went on to the University of Tennessee as a tight end coach, special teams coordinator. And then in my last season there, became the first black offensive coordinator in that university's 120-year history at that time. After being the coordinator there, I went on to the University of Florida. Before coming, spent 2 seasons at the University of Florida before taking the job here at Howard University as the head coach. So, quick background there, a little bit on my coaching stops and a little bit about my career, but been around it all, seen a little bit of it all from every level, from high school to, the upper epsilon of the SEC, to right here where we're at the Mecca at Howard University.
Okay. Wow, that's a long and
oh, yeah.
adventurous trip that you had before you came to Howard.
Absolutely, yes, it was.
Wow.
Yes, it was. But it's all been fun, and it's all prepared me for the great things that we're doing here at Howard on such a bigger scope than just football. It's the daily track of these young men finding their way to success in various things, both on and off the field. So it's definitely had its challenges, but it's been a whole lot of fun too at the same time.
Okay. All right. Please tell us a bit about this year's team and who are some of your key players and what were some of their accomplishments?
Well, I'll tell you what, we've been, this team's kind of been comprised, for 2 years now. We tried to build it during COVID. I got hired previous to the pandemic. We were all trying to build a football program from home and those type of things. And so really didn't get around. I took the job and I really didn't get a chance to get around any of these athletes or any of these young men until almost 11 months later. So having a chance to kind of go through the roster, rebuild the roster, tool it up and get our needs met and all those type of things. We've been a young football team. Last year, we were able to win a piece of the championship. We only lost one starter on each side of the ball, one on defense, one on offense. So we're very excited about what we returned. Starting on the defensive side of the ball with that nucleus being if they can't score, they can't win, which is, motto of ours. We want to take care of defense first. We want to play really good defense. And having a lot of guys return there in the secondary, a lot of guys on our second level as a linebacker, and really excited about our defensive front. that really came along last year and did some really good things for us. Excited about them, but football games are one up front, and so when you're excited about your D line and your interior guys in the trenches, and we're really excited about our offensive line that returns all the starters. We don't lose one starter from our starting five up front. Those guys have played together in some critical situations as a cohesive unit, and we'll continue to do that. They're here now, right now, getting bigger, stronger, and faster, and getting in better shape than they were last year. And they're smarter. They're more acclimated to the system and how we want to play, the things that we want to do, and have adopted the mentality of that when games are one up front. And therefore, that's why they've been here through this summer grind on both sides of the ball. So this is a football team that has been young, and we'll still be young. We'll return 80% of it again, 85% of it again a year from now. So young, talented, excited, just now really stepping into its own as a true team. And so just excited to get back to work, get back out on the grass, and get this thing rolling in 23.
Okay. So where were you projected to end this particular past season?
The season that just passed?
Yes, sir.
We're projected to finish now next to last. We're projected to finish fifth in the league. The year before that, we were picked to finish last. And then we finished, right tied at the top at first. We knew at the end of the day that what we had and what we've been working on, and the guys were fully confident. And, of course, you want to use those type of things as motivation, but at the end of the day, we don't focus on the noise that goes on around us. That's for the media. That's to get the hype push and get some clicks and get some talk going and all those type of things. We want to be about the work that's being done in the lab on a daily basis. And we're excited and knew where we were and what we had accomplished and how far we had come as a program, both physically and mentally. And even, in fact, in a lot of ways, spiritually, to come together as men, playing for one another and getting to know each other the way that you need to be a really good football team. And so we had a lot of energy going into the season, and we knew we had a tough challenge going into it, and the way that the schedule was set up, the first 5 weeks, and truly only playing twice at home and being a traveling show and having to rip and run all over the country playing in other people's venues, the Harvards and Yales and USFs and all of the people that we had to play. We had to keep our wits about us, right? We had to keep our spirits high, and we knew we were getting better, and we were building and building. And when we got into conference play, you saw the type of football team that we were capable of being and what we've been building to become. So we were picked to finish fifth. Be interesting to see what the line is this year. Again, whether we're at the top or whether we're at the bottom, no concern of ours. We know what we got to get done, and we're excited about it.
Okay. All right. Well, this year you shared that title with North Carolina Central, and of course they went on to the Celebration Bowl and came out as the HBCU Division I national champions.
Mm-hmm.
A lot has been said. Most of the press actually was towards the SWAC,
right?
And so you really didn't hear that much out of about the MEAC. And I'm pretty sure that North Carolina Central's win over Jackson State was a shocker to most people who are not familiar with HBCU football. With that being said, tell us a bit about your conference and the competition.
Oh man, I'll tell you. Like I said, I've been in the ACC, I've been in the old Big East, I've been in the SEC, and week in and week out, just like in some of those leagues, you better bring and play your best football. When you talk about talent level, I've seen just as much talent and just as many good football players in the 2 years I've been in this league than I've seen in any other league at all positions. Across the board, even including the interior O&D lines, but definitely the skill positions at wide receiver, defensive back, linebackers. Guys are physical, guys are strong, guys are smart, guys are big, and I think at the end of the day, it's downplayed a little bit, but for what reason I have no idea. Because if you are a football person and you're watching the tape and you're doing true evaluations, you're evaluating. You're just as talented football players as you are at any level of football at the collegiate level. So It's a tough league. The one thing about the MEAC is built around toughness. If you can't run the ball and be physical and tough and play really good defense, you're not going to be very successful in league play. And that's week in and week out for us as we get down the stretch and figuring out who's going to be the top in the MEAC. It's built around toughness, and if you don't have that hard edge and play a physical brand and style of football on both sides of the ball, you're gonna struggle and get what you kind of get what you're looking for. Won't know what to expect, and then until it's too late. And I think that's what's happened to Jackson State the past 2 years. I mean, South Carolina State did it to them the year before that, and now North Carolina Central walks in and go back-to-back 2 years in a row where the SWAC is picked to kind of be the big dog in that game. And if you go check the record of it, it's really lopsided towards the MEAC as opposed to the SWAC. So I know the fanfare and the word jargon and all those type of things always tilt that way. But at the end of the day, man, go check the facts. The facts and the stats is at the end of the day, the numbers tell it all and tell the truth. And I think it's a little lopsided for the MEAC right now, even in the MEAC SWAC Challenge as well, the one that kick off at the beginning of the year and then the Celebration Bowl. So I think people better do a little bit more fact finding and before they start, to put their words together and they're slanting this towards the SWAC.
Okay. Well said, and a great defense of your conference. I watched that game. It was an exciting game. Came down primarily to the last play.
Yep.
And so, that just made it even more exciting. But once again, I forgot the actual stat, but the MEAC has dominated the Celebration Bowl over the years anyway.
Yep.
So, like you said, maybe people need to look at things in a historical context before they just write the MEAC.
Yeah, instead of the fanfare and the kind of the noise, so to speak, and all of the false bravado that goes around the subject matter at hand, and really just go ahead and check the stats and look at it for what it is, and we'll be prepared, and hopefully we'll be prepared to do that again this year, and hopefully it's Howard University that's in that game, bringing that to fruition.
Okay. Well, now the MEAC does not have a conference championship game, so that actually worked to your advantage this year. Is that something that some of the coaches have advocated for, or is the conference fine with not having a championship game?
No, that's something we're always in discussions with, and I think from the top, from the commissioner down, it's just what is the right formula, what's the right ways to continue to improve our league, to make it more competitive, to bring more higher ratings and those type of things around it. And so all of those things are always in play in discussions. I'm sure at our meetings down in Norfolk here in July before media days, that will be another topic of discussion that we'll get to again and talk about. I mean, I would rather play the championship game this year. I think every league in American football has to do it when it comes down to it. They don't care how many times you played each other. If the record says that you need to play again, the record says you need to play again, and on this day, the better team will go. And so I'm a big proponent of championship games and understanding, because in our league it's a playoff mentality, right? Every week is a championship game the way we're set up now, because you lose one, you're going to be behind the 8 ball, fighting to find your way back into it in hopes that somebody else will lose and those type of things. So I think the mentality is you get there and you have 2 teams that are both 4-1 in league play. They should play again. Why not? NFL does it. Everybody else does it in a playoff format and say, hey, we get to this point, let's have a championship game. So I think it's something that'll be good for the conference and the league. But obviously from the commissioner and everyone on down, that's something that we all have to be agreed to and ready to wrap our arms around and be able to execute. If not, we'll play by the rules. Like I said, this year they're disappointed. Some people were kind of like, well, you're a co-champion. I said, Howard didn't write the rules. I didn't write the rules. I didn't write the rule book. All we did was go out every Saturday and play by them. And that's what it led to, and so that's what we felt this year. Now, obviously, with some changes, there won't be any conference tie. We don't have a conference tie anymore. There's going to be an outright champion, so every week, definitely now, the head-to-head battle in a regular season game is going to be for a championship. So we're going to have a championship mentality, week after week. Unlike most teams in football, where I have to do, we got to do it differently. We got to be ready to play championship caliber football every conference game. So that too in itself is fun if you're a competitor and you love to compete. And you just got to be able to bring it every Saturday during league play like it's championship Saturday. That's what it is.
So with there being no ties, was that due to adding another program, or did a program leave the conference?
No one left the conference. Everybody's still intact. The teams that are here that are still left between Delaware State, us, Norfolk, South Carolina State, Central, and Morgan. So those are the teams that are still in the conference. So no one left. That's just something that we've kind of established here moving forward that we want to operate by, at least this season coming up, 23 season.
Okay. So if you don't mind me asking, if it should be if there is a way for records to end up matching at the end of the season, is it a poll, or how will you determine the champion?
They got some formula they put together, some challenges. There's a 1-, 2-way tie, 3-way tie, those type of things. I know a lot of it comes down to head-to-head. I think that for us and Howard, our focus is going to be game-by-game basis. Take care of business that game, and I'll let all the other things sort themselves out. I'm not going to get caught in the bureaucracy, the red tape, and politics, and none of those type of things. We go handle our business every Saturday. We won't have any concerns or worries. All right, we want to control our own destiny. We want to, and the only way to do that is to show up and win. And so therefore that's going to be our focus. It's just to show up on those Saturdays and then find a way to win the football game.
Okay, it makes sense. Now, being that you were projected to finish next to last, but you ended up tied for first, did you win any honors this year?
No, we didn't win any honors or any of those things. I think at Howard, our honors are that we're Howard. We're going to carry that pridefully everywhere that we go. We embrace and wrap our arms around being what that is. We understand what comes with that, and all of those things. So those are all the things that make us who we are. Until we just say good. Accolades is the success of us actually coming together as a family, us celebrating the things that we wanted to achieve, and those type of things. Those are the accolades that we need and want and desire. And all the other stuff will take care of itself. It will happen in the time that it needs to happen, if it happens. But we're not going to operate, our mentality and our mindset around other people noticing what we're doing. We're going to go to work every day and let those things take care of themselves.
Okay. Well, what do you look for in prospects, and can you tell us about some of your current signees?
Yeah, well, obviously we have to we have to fit an academic profile here, Howard. So we have to have a young man who's fanatical about what he's doing in education, academically. And it's got to be something that's deeply rooted in him and his family and how important that is. So we wrap the first thing in our identity around that program, smarter. All right, we want guys that fully understand the importance of their education and make sure that they develop the mentality that it takes to be successful in the classroom and spill over to what it takes to be on the field. And one is not separate from the other. They run congruently together. And that's why we have success. That's why we had, over 38 guys make the all academic team. We have, 20 some odd guys with over 4.0s on our football team. And so we're having success and doing championship things both on the field and in the classroom, and we'll continue doing that. But what we look for is guys that are winners, that come from programs in high school where I know they've been challenged, they've won in high school, and they've won in the classroom, because that's what we're going to ask you to do here at Howard. So we're not just seeking out, really good football players that are poor academic students. No, we have to have guys that can do both. And then what you do is you build the country and you find those programs that are having sustained success, that are being coached based on some of the same principles that you hope to continue to build on with the young men in your program. that both of those two things run congruently. And if they can do that and have the type of success on the field in the high school level, and keep their nose clean and stay out of trouble and have a good character check that way, and have won football games, those usually are the guys that'll fit in well here in Howard. So, and when you have those combinations, those characteristics in one person, you got a winner. You got a guy that knows how to win, and he'll continue to do that as he gets into college and do those things. So we want to bring winners into this program that have at least the characteristics and the character, approach, and mentality of what it takes that we can continue to enhance through our program philosophy and what we do and how we do things.
Okay. All right. Well, even though Howard is world-renowned, is a terrific academic institution, one of the top, one of the top institutions among HBCUs and in the country, period. Many people still might not know much about it. Every time I do some research on Howard, I find another alum who I did not know attended Howard.
Oh yeah.
So could you please tell us about the institution? What are some of the major programs there, and what majors do your athletes tend to take?
They're across the board. We have some guys that are in the School of Communications. We have some guys in the School of Journalism. We have some guys in the School of Business, supply chain management, and all those type of things. So it's a various well-rounded group of majors and fields that our team and our players get into. And that's one of the biggest things we talk about challenging too, is learning to find that one thing that you really want to do and be and commit yourself to it. So we those are things that we explore in our program. We encourage guys, if they don't have their mind already made up as to what they want to major in, to take a semester or two and just kind of figure it out. Because when you tap in, we need you to be all the way in on it, so that you can complete it on time and complete the degree program the way that you want to, and possibly get into some post-grad work and all of those things too, while your eligibility clock is still ticking and you have time to do that. Allow us to pay for that. Allow us to be, continue to enhance you and your brand as you build what that is off the field educationally for yourself. So we wrap everything around the holistic experience of being a Howard man and young lady. So at the end of the day, you are successful. I'm sorry, you wear the name Howard. I told an alumni group the other day, you, myself, you, the lawyer, you, the doctor, we can all walk into the room and we can all say, hey, yeah, we're affiliated with Howard, and people automatically are going to expect a level of excellence, a level of excellence, and it doesn't matter. And so what we want to do is make sure in athletics and in football that reigns true. It's synonymous across the board. That hey, we may not have been what we are, what people shape it up to be truly successful champions and all those type of things in the past, but here in the future, that's right there. That's our ground floor. Everything for us is now it's going to be up and up, so that when people say Howard, yeah, it is excellence across the board. It's championships, it's rings, it's degrees, it's the highest level of everything that you can attain in a 4 to 5 year college window. At a world-class institution in a world-class city like Washington, D.C., you have it all, and it's all in the palm of your hand. And what you got to do is wrap your hands around it, wrap your arms around it. I want to be an active participant and own your process and your time while you're here. And you'll find success. And we got young men and young people doing that and developing a great pride in what it is to be at Howard and understand what you now synonymous with, whether you want to or not. You're stamped Howard. So people are going to expect excellence. Right? So you can't run away from it. You got to see all of this through. So at the end of the day, that's what we're building is just that mindset and mentality and the love and pride and appreciation you should have for the opportunity to be at Howard University right now.
Okay. So, yeah, because Howard is the first HBCU to produce a vice president of the United States. So I know it's something. I'm assuming Howard hangs his hat on that fact.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot for this university to hang its hat on, when it comes to that. And I think the special thing about that is it was a black woman. in this world that is doing that is a Howard grad. There's so many great things, and then from politics to law to medicine to what have you, engineering, Wall Street. There's so many different great things, medical research, all those type of things at this point. The School of Dentistry, the School of Theology. There's so many different things and areas that this university can hang its hat on and be very prideful about. And I think even as a, not being a grad, but just, being an employee and being a major part and a piece of the community of what Howard is as we continue to build it as a unit moving forward, you start to develop a great pride in what that is and what that means for you to have an opportunity to impact and leave a legacy for yourself here on this great campus. Along the same lines, I tell people all the time, and just pull up the staff directory, and you got Larry Scott on there with Felicia Rashad. Come on. With Dr. Wayne Wayne out Frederick. Like, come on. It's like your name is now, you're listed on that tier, on that scroll with some of the greatest minds and thinkers and educators and impactors in our country right now. And that's something you should have a great pride in. And I do. And I carry that to work every day. I tell people all the time, man, Howard didn't choose me. I choose it, and I choose it every day.
Yeah. I said it just kind of amazes me, some of the things that Howard has accomplished. And, I said just the alumni that it has. One of the things that came to mind while you were speaking was how a lot of movies, when they talk about HBCUs, a lot of them they usually use Morris Brown for a lot of things, especially when it comes to band and things like that. But then, one of the biggest television shows around, the Blackish, had an entire episode on Anthony Anderson, a Howard alum, his character trying to persuade his son to go to Howard versus a PWI, in which his son did choose Howard in the end. And so I thought that was very important, especially during these days, for people to see. Especially myself being an alum of HBCU and PWIs. I kind of know how that feels, and I know what the differences are, whereas a lot of other people do not. And in fact, even Chris Paul, there was an article that I sent out online last night actually, where he talked about graduating from Winston-Salem State. Mm-hmm. Even though he started out at Wake Forest, and he talked about his entire family went. He's from Winston-Salem. His entire family went to Winston-Salem State. He just had that opportunity to go Wake Forest. He took it, but when he came back, he ended up at Winston-Salem State. So, like I said, it's great that HBCUs are finally getting some of the exposure that it deserves. It's great that Howard is right there in the mix and leading, I don't know how many media outlets talked about the fact that Chadwick Boseman was a Howard alum after the Black Panther movie.
Right.
And that Felicia Rashad is the dean of the School of Arts. Right. I mean, who else can say that?
Yeah. Right. Right. And I think that's just the continued lineage of greatness, and wanting to be. I can't explain the feeling when you walk across that yard sometimes, and just the feeling you get from what you see, the aesthetics of what it looks like, and not only what it looks like, what you know that it is. It really hits in a different place, and it comes with a different set of motivation as to why you do what you do. I never see like I'm going to work I got to go to work. I don't even mention work, because to me it's not a job. It's an experience every time I step foot on campus. So I love every moment of it.
Okay. Well, what kind of support do you receive for your program from the department, the institution, and the fan base?
I think that's that's really starting to pick up and really grow. And I think that's because we're becoming more of a conduit, more of a bridge to, to share what that is and that information and making it feel part of the whole of the community. One of the things we started was the bison walk, and we got understanding that before we go play this game, we're going to take this walk across the yard to show our appreciation for the university that we represent every time we go out into the field and play. And giving our fans and our band and our cheerleaders a chance to all be there in that same setting, just to celebrate opportunity, to celebrate life, because one day that's going to be the last walk that you take across this yard to go play. So just instilling some more traditional things here around football and around being a student athlete at Howard, and then just that bridge of understanding that we're not two separate entities. We're one and the same. So I think you're starting to see more support. And when I say support, I was talking to our alumni group the other day, and I said, one of the things we don't need, I don't like the word booster. We don't need a booster, but we need our donors. Donors bring life to the program, and it's not financially, right? When you donate a kidney, you just donated life. You gave somebody an opportunity to continue to have life, and that's what we need. We need your expertise. We need your time. If that comes in the form of funds and money, great. If it comes in the chance of, through the way of just coming and spending some time around our team and sharing what it is that you're an expert at in your field, and it can inspire 1, 2, 3 young men in the room to take the same path to find success, that's bringing life into the program. We need your presence. We need your support at games. We need you to be around. We need to see your faces. We need to feel your energy. Energy is kinetic. And that's donor. That's donating. That's giving time and life and breathing life back into the program. And so, that's what we need. And so you're starting to see it start to catch fire and steam. And the other athletic programs have helped with that, along, track and field, doing the things that they're doing right now. Our women's softball team being conference champions. Our basketball team going to the NCAAs. The women last year, the men this year. The men being conference champions. Our swim program and what Coach Askew's done with the swim team and the national publicity with, Sports Illustrated and things they've done, as being one of the only black, swim teams in the country that are competing at an elite level and winning championships. So there's a lot of great things that are happening around, just not football, but our whole athletic department as a whole, that's driving a huge buzz to bridge with the rest of our campus, with our alums and the rest of the university and all the departments and all those type of things. So what you're seeing, I think, right now is a galvanizing of a sleeping giant. That once it's, all galvanized and all got both hands on the rope and we're all pulling in the same direction, whether it's academically, athletically, socially, alums, and all those type of things are going to build something pretty special that I think is going to be hard to duplicate anywhere else in America. So I think you're seeing just an upheaval right now of galvanizing of what we are and who we are as an institution as a whole. And hopefully we can continue down that path to continue to build this bully that we can be.
Okay. Well, you have a unique experience from a lot of other HBCU coaches, well, primarily from just about all HBCU coaches, in that you have coached in a Power 5 or in Power 5s. So, what are some of the differences that you see between the two, between being at those PWIs and being at an HBCU? And also, along the same line, while you're comparing, one of the things that I do try to emphasize with a lot of people, I know there were comparisons that Coach Prime made when he was at Jackson State. I know there were some comparisons that other people made. I won't mention some of them because things just didn't work out for some of them at other places. But there have been a lot of comparisons for decades, and usually the comparisons are usually major college program versus what Howard is essentially what we used to call 1AA. Mm-hmm. And that's not necessarily a fair comparison when you talk about numbers. But when you talk about other issues, then you can make a fair comparison. And so along those lines, not the dollars and cents, because that's never going to be comparable. but from how the fans interact with the program or with the institution, how are those things different?
Man, obviously, you said there's a multitude of things that you can point to, right? That goes right to one word: resources. And we can get into that debate whether the resources drive facilities, whether the facilities drive whatever the case may be. I think there's a for whatever reasons, whether there's been not the appropriate funding and all those type of things that we can go into, and the whole laundry list of things that has led to the tremendous imbalance in resources that produces those facilities and all those type of things. I think it's just the areas that we're really focused on and catching up. On the day-by-day and most important and critical things that building a program anyway, it's people. It is 100% people. And I think because at some of those levels, you have an army of people that do a multitude of jobs. Here we have, our small group of people that all have to wear multiple hats and do a lot of jobs in one job. But what I found in that is that you see some of the most creative, out-of-the-box thinking minds that come from having to deal with it and do it at that level that will far blow away a lot of the people that are doing those singular jobs at that level. I've come across the brightest minds and the most creative ideas and thoughts and ideas of how we can do things, especially to improve our program and infrastructure at Howard University, which excites me every day to go to work with those people because they're challenged. They feel challenged to come out of the box. They feel challenged to tap into their creative side to find ways to say, hey, we can't, that's just because we don't have all of these things don't mean we can't do it to the scale. We can do it at here and be very, very successful in doing that. So at the end of the day, it's brought about excellence. It's brought out a better version because obviously I know how to do things one way, and we do a lot of the carbon print of things that I've learned along the way, and we do it here to the scale that we can do it, to the magnitude that we can do it, using the resources that we have. We don't talk about things that we don't have. Instead, we say what do we have, and how do we make it as good as it can possibly be, and impactful as it can possibly be. And that's our challenge on a daily basis as staff members. I think that was the biggest difference, just a sheer number of people that actually do jobs. But here, we do the same things that they do on a yearly. We're on the same calendar as the University of Florida. So we have a camp. We recruit the same motive they do. We just recruit to a different profile, and we have to be a little bit more streamlined with where we spend our money and our resources as far as driving as opposed to flying or whatever the case may be. But there's a lot of people that do that. Not only happen at HBCUs, I'm sure it happens at the University of Richmond. I'm sure it happens at the UAB. I'm sure it happens across the country where people have to take what they have, take their resources and what they have and use them properly to not operate in the red. So that's bullcrap when people say that only happens at this level. No, it happens at every level of football. Even at Florida, they ask you to streamline your hotels. So people say that they'll ask you tonight, don't just stay there because here we want to price match and do these things the right way because they're economically doing what they have to do with the resources that they have as well. So I think all of that's crap. I think it's people. And then obviously, buildings, but buildings and facilities don't build really good football players. People do. So again, it's back to people. They can have a beautiful stamped gator head, 25-pound weight, and we could have a rubber bumper that's black with a silver cylinder, and we both lift it 25 times. It's going to do the same thing for both of our bodies, right? So we've challenged ourselves. If we don't pour money into huge facilities and those type of things, let's pour the money into development. Let's make sure we're right nutritionally. Let's make sure these guys are getting the proper hydration, nutrition, the right, 4 meals a day and a snack. They're getting, a Whoop bracelet so they can track their sleeping patterns and know different things because sleep is the biggest portion of development that you can have. Let's make sure we got them, make sure we got GPSs on them so we can monitor the impact and the tearing so we can keep them safe as well as they play the game. Let's put the things into what it takes to develop really good people. Our academic counseling, our academic tutoring, that's where our money needs to go into, and building the person, building the man, building the young lady, building who we want to go out into this world and be, world change agents. So we may not have all the buildings and all those things that you got to pump millions of dollars into, but we can take our 5 figures or whatever it is that we have and put them into the student athletes, put it into their development so that we don't miss anything. So now I can go out and recruit the 5-star athlete that will say, hey, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to Florida. I'm going to Howard. Because at the end of the day, everything that I need and more, I get there. I may not have the beautiful building. I may not have all these flashy facilities, but I'm going to get the right nutrition. I'm going to get the right hydration. I'm going to get the right coaching. I'm going to go into an academic realm where who I am is being fostered just as much as what I'm there for and what I'm there to do. So there's things that I can sell now and make it about what it truly is about. And we can win on that side of it too. And that's what we've been doing here at Howard. So we don't look at what we don't have. We look at what we have and what we can do with that to make it the very best that it can be.
Okay. Well, one of the things that is a phenomenon in sports in general is the advent of mental health crisis. No matter what level you're on, pro or amateur, NAIA, NCAA, everyone has people in their program, or at least a person in the program that might have some mental anguish or have thoughts of suicide. How do you handle those things in your program?
Well, first, for us, I make sure as a challenge to our coaches that we're always engaged in every aspect of a young man's life. It's mental health check Mondays. I have every Monday you come by. I don't want you to come. I don't want the kid to stop by. It's our day off. I don't want to stop by and talk football with you. I want you to talk life with him. Find out how he's doing in school. Find out what's going on at home. Find out how he's doing in his personal life, in the dorms. How's it going? What's going on? Spend 10 minutes with him, and let's just mental health check these guys on a weekly basis. And then we also have something in our program in the off season called Real Talk Wednesdays, where we get together and we will talk out whatever subject matter and whatever that's going on in these young men's life, whether that's financial literacy, whether that's relational things, relationships, male to male, female to male, mother to father, fatherless homes, any of those type of things. Any subject that most people would say is okay, quote unquote taboo, is one that we get in the room and we unpack as men as to what's going on and what we're all having to deal with and what we're handling. And we have some mental health. It's always wrapped around some type of edge of bringing in a mental health professional to help us deal with that too. We're fortunate to have a team psychologist that we can reference things that obviously get out of our wheelhouse as coaches that we need to have a professional help with. We got our crisis center, we got our counseling center. We have resources here at Howard that we utilize on a regular basis with our young men, just to make sure that we're holistically serving them the right way and giving them everything that they need to be successful. And you're right, the mental health piece of it is always been critical, but now it's being highlighted in such a fashion that it's now become a little bit more to them accepting and okay to come in and say, Coach, I need help. I'm struggling dealing with this subject on whatever this may be, a relationship or something that's going on. And the young men in our program know my door is always open and you can come in and at any time can feel comfortable talking and having those conversations, because when I'm talking to them and addressing them, we talk in terms of love. We talk in terms of self-care. We talk in terms of having an open and atmosphere that is bred towards making sure that you feel safe, you feel okay, and that you can come to us with anything that's going on. We'll get you the help that you need. And that's always in the vein of winning games and why we win and why we do things. So it's wrapped around our program. It's an integral piece to it as to what we do on a daily basis, because that's demanded. You don't care about these players. We're here to impact their lives. And it's bigger than ball. We say it all the time. Everything that we do on a daily basis is bigger than ball. Ball takes care of itself, and all the other things are right.
Okay. Well, Coach, who are the biggest influences in your career?
Probably the biggest influences in my career have been, Mike Tomlin. You watch Mike T. In the way that he's authentically who he is himself. He hasn't branded or tried to make himself anything that he wasn't. Tony Dungy, read all of his books and a whole different style. But what I love about those two are they've never patterned their coaching philosophy or style after anyone. You can tell they've been very comfortably okay with who they are. As black men, winning championships and running major organizations their way, the way that they, see it and do it the best. And I think in the coaching world, obviously, in the coaching world, those are some of the names, but, Barack Obama, there's, true influence, and you read his books and you read the story and you find out all the things you need to, they're powerful, right? And they move you in a way that makes what you do more intrinsic than just what's, out there in the public for the public eye to see. So those have been some of the major, influencers and what I do and who I am, that I'm from the visual aesthetic eye. And obviously there's a lot of great icons that you hear about and study and know about that drives that home too. But Mike Loxley is one of my very good friends in this business. We were friends for a long time, and having him right there as a head coach at the University of Maryland to have these talks with, and the coalition that he started, that I'm a part of working with to continue to produce that amongst minority football coaches, are all the things that make what we do in totality really, really good, because you want to make an impact in coaching. That's why you decided to choose this profession, and that's hopefully to leave an impact and leave a legacy for what it is that you've done at the time you've had the chance to do it.
Okay. Well, Coach, as we prepare to wrap up, this is your opportunity to give shout outs to anyone who you want to recognize.
So I just threw one out to Mike Loxley for being who he is, and the inspiration that he's given us all. Alonzo Carter, who started the West Coast Zoom calls out there, that's really been a big piece in throwing and uniting this country around the idea and concept of building each other and minority coaches, and sponsoring each other and taking care of each other and building each other from within to continue to be a force in this profession. Jim Levitt, who was my college coach, that saw something in me that I didn't see in myself, both as a player, and as a coach. Butch Jones, who's the head coach at Arkansas State right now, that stepped out on a limb, stood right out there on that edge and promoted me to become the first, black offensive coordinator in Tennessee football's history in 120 years. That took an awful amount of courage by him, and for target 42, he stood behind it 100% and went out and made that decision. So, got to shout him out. And then all of the young men that's had an opportunity to play for me, a lot of which are still playing in the National Football League. Kadarius Toney, Kyle Pitts, Chris Herndon, Clyde, a lot of names that the list can go on. All those young men that that I've been around and had a chance to coach, and not all of them are pro football players. Most of them are professionals in the workspace, and I tell them all the time, you're gonna go pro in something, and whether that's as a teacher or as a banker or as whatever it is that you choose to do, and as a football player, you're gonna go pro in something. But every one of those young men has impacted my life. They've continued to give me, the fortitude to keep pushing on, and the young men that I have a chance to be around right now to this day, our current football team and our players, they're my true motivation every day. Besides, my kids and things like that, to get up every day and go to work and do what I do to the level that, the best level that I can. So, those are the things that I want to shout out that are true and near and close and truly impacted who I am and what I've become.
All right. Well, thank you, Coach Scott, for participating in this chat. We hope that you and your program continue to succeed, and we will definitely follow your developments. And I want to thank you, the viewers, for watching this episode of Chat with HBCU Champions. Please visit ricefamegroup.org for more information on our replays and more HBCU information. Have a blessed week.
Now I'm talking about young shakes. 502 represent. Just a change. And this is for my city.
Hey, I do it for my city. Dog, I don't plan on going down. If he think I'm going down, then he gone first round. For my city, dog, I ain't never been a jumpin'. If he thinking I'm a jump, watch him get his head lumped. For my city, dog, I don't plan on going down. If he think I'm going down, then he gone first round. For my city, dog, I ain't never been a jumpin'. If he thinking I'm a chump, watch him get his head lumped. For my city, cause I feel like I love her so much, like I owe her so much for supplying her touch. I will always respect her, I will never neglect her. Bet you hear her name in like every one of my records. No, I'm not stunting. frontin', ain't no future in your frontin', right? Gotta get this money, watch me get it all night. Planet flying top flight, higher than space stations. That's why I gotta grind, cause I need it and I hate waiting.